study was able to identify only, again, over 19,000 plus calls over a decade. The current study was able to identify only 13 arrests uniquely tied to the acoustic gunfire detection system calls. And this is for a city with between 100 to 200 homicides annually. So you can do the math to determine what we could expect over the course of a decade for a city that has the significantly lower numbers that we have in St. Paul. It says that results show, you asked about a recommendation, results show that AGDS, acoustic gunfire detection systems, simply seem to replace traditional calls for service and do so less efficiently and at greater monetary cost to departments.
We want this to be a destination, a place where people feel safe to do business, to spend their money here, to build the city together. And I think it's very troubling when they hear that our chief and our mayor are not having a good relationship, or that they are everything that the chief wants to do, it's been shut down. I think that's something that we have to keep in mind, that it doesn't help us as a whole. And then I want to just ask you, do you think that my kids is important to you?
Excuse me?
Do you think that my kids are important to you?
Councilmember, I appreciate the opportunity.
Just a yes or no,
Councilmember,
sir,
I appreciate the opportunity to talk. Council President Brimmo and Councilmember Thao, to correct a couple of things that you said. Yes, the chief and I both were interested in securing
Then I think that don't you think that our kid is worth utilizing every
question? Would you like an answer?
Thank you.
You asked me a question. If you'd like, I can answer.
It's a yes or no question, sir.
Okay, thank you. The chief and I both wanted to pursue Shotspotter technology. And it was the chief's decision last week. As I said, it sounds like you've read my emails, and the chief made the determination to pursue DNA testing instead. You mentioned state funding, and we are still taking advantage of that state funding to fund that DNA testing. You inaccurately suggested it would not result in a cost for our city because that is what would be establishing a long-term system that once that one-time first-year funding grant would expire would result in extensive funding long-term. You mentioned the chief and my relationship, and I can assure you that we have a wonderful relationship. But I think it would be a mistake for us to confuse buying one particular toy with reducing gun violence in our community. You asked me if your children are important to our community. Councilmember, of course they are. Councilmember, my children are important to our community. I have a child on the way, as you well know. And that's exactly why pursuing the perception of safety and buying technological toys because they sound like, and because someone told us, or maybe someone emailed us, that it's an effective way to prevent and reduce gun violence in our community is not enough. We as a community owe it to ourselves. We as a community owe it to your beautiful children that when we spend $1 million on public safety investments, that it actually makes us safer. That should be the bar that we set out to achieve. Thank you.